Hello and welcome to Connect Sunday. It's the video helping you look at the readings at Mass to prepare for Mass and look at the Sunday Gospel together. So today it's the 23rd Sunday of Ordinary Time and we are looking at Mark chapter 7 verses 31 to 37. So have you noticed how the liturgy of the word, so that first half of Mass, how it's structured? So if you haven't noticed before, we have a first reading, then we sing or say a psalm, then we'll have a second reading, and then we sing the Alleluia before we hear the Gospel. So the first reading is usually from the Old Testament. Okay, so the Gospel is always the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke or John, but the first reading is usually from the Old Testament. Now, there's usually a link between the first reading and the Gospel, okay? So they'll talk to each other, there'll be the same theme happening in those two readings. And today it is really obvious what the link is, because our first reading is from Isaiah. So Isaiah was a prophet living a few hundred years before Jesus was walking on the earth. And in Isaiah today, we hear God is coming to save. And what will happen when God comes to save? Well, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the lame will leap like a deer, and those who could not speak will sing for joy. And so now think about the kind of miracles that we see Jesus performing. We see the friends lowering their friends down through the roof, don't we? The person who couldn't walk, Jesus heals the person who couldn't walk. The lame can leap like a deer. We see the blind being able to see. And in today's gospel, we have the deaf being able to hear and the dumb, so those who cannot speak, being able to speak. So again, friends bring their friend to Jesus because they've heard that he's this amazing healer, that he could heal their friend. And so Jesus, he takes the friend away from the crowd. He talks to him in private. He puts his hands on his ears, his tongue, and he is healed. It is a miracle. But then what does Jesus say? Imagine you've not been able to speak or hear. You can now speak and hear absolutely perfectly. And Jesus says, don't tell anyone. Can you imagine? All you want to do is tell everyone. You can now speak, you can hear, you want to tell everyone about Jesus. But this comes up a few times in Mark's Gospel, this Jesus performing an amazing miracle and then saying, don't tell anyone. Why might Jesus be saying that? Well, crowds are coming to Jesus, okay? Crowds are coming because they have heard about the miracles. They want him to heal them, to heal their friends, to help the blind see, the deaf to hear, the lame to walk. They want these miracles to happen to them. And so it'd be very easy for them just to think that Jesus is a miracle worker and that's all he is. And they just come to Jesus and they just want miracles, 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 miracles. The gospel today sets us up perfectly for next week's gospel, because in that one, Jesus says to his disciples, who do people say I am? And they reel off a number of things. And then he asks them, who do you say that I am? Am I just a miracle worker? Are you just coming to me so that I can do something for you? Or is there something else? So we'll come to that next week. Who do you say that Jesus is? Okay, it's time for our question of the week. And this week we've had a question sent in by Anna, Beatrice and Jacob. And they would like to know, is heaven the other side of space? Now, this is a fantastic question and I'm not going to be able to give you the perfect answer that you probably want. I can't say heaven is here, right? We can't point to heaven. Heaven is a really big mystery. But in your question, it sounds a bit like space is a thing we can understand and then it stops. And then heaven is like outside of that. And in a way, heaven is outside space and time as we know it. So we can understand this world. We've made really, really powerful telescopes. We can see planets and stars and we can see more and more and more into the universe. But we still don't know the reaches of the universe. We don't know if it stops or if it has an edge. What we can say is heaven doesn't have an edge because heaven is infinite and God is infinite and we will never get bored of heaven because there'll be more and more to explore. So heaven is operating on a different dimension to what we can even understand because God is the creator and we have been created. So if you are a creator and you create something, you are outside that thing you made. If you did a painting or if you created a sculpture, you are outside that thing, okay? And the thing you created can't really relate to you in the same way. So God is just beyond us. We'll never understand the infinite power of God. We can't imagine what heaven looks like because it's not something that we can understand as humans now. But it's definitely not somewhere that if we got to the edge of space, then we just kind of got outside space, that we'd find heaven. So it's not something that's operating on the same time and space that we understand it right now. But hopefully, when we get to heaven, we will understand it and we'll be able to see things in a whole different way, on a different level to what we can understand right now. And so hundreds of years ago, people would try and understand this and they'd kind of draw pictures a bit like your question. So you'd have like Earth in the middle and the solar system, and they just kind of keep going out in layers, like more and more universe, and then the universe would stop and then heaven would be there. And that's kind of, we understand things in a sort of three-dimensional way, don't we? Like things have layers and you just get more and more and more and more. But as I say, God is just outside of that, and we can't understand that because he's God and we are human and we are created and he is the creator. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an answer. I mean, it's not a perfect answer because heaven's a mystery and we'll never understand it till we get there, but there's a bit of an answer for you. So if you have a question for question of the week, please send it to me, colorandshapeonline@gmail.com, and we will try and find you an answer. So don't forget to head over to the colorandshapeonline.com website where you'll find more resources to get into the theme each week. There are creative ideas, discussion ideas, intercession ideas, Spotify playlists, and a liturgy plan to follow if you're praying together at home. So find those things and I will see you next week.